welcome to Top 5 Nintendo, where we give you top 5 lists for all things Nintendo. I will be your host today. I'm Sam, and then I have my co-host here, Jake. Jake, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing well.
Glad to hear it. Today, we will be discussing top 5 Pokemon legendaries. We're trying to figure out what criteria would be like. Would it be top 5 legendaries, Sword and Shield, top 5 legendaries from like our childhood? And I think the best way to do it is just all of them. And we're going to try to pick the best 5.
No rules.
No rules. I'm more from like the competitive Pokemon background, so I might see them a little bit differently than Jake. So I'm anticipating this top 5 to ultimately be very difficult to agree on. I think we see it a little bit differently. We're going to do our best. I've also played a handful more of the games than Jake has, as far as I'm aware.
True.
Is this true?
I believe so.
I believe so too. But first off, what was the Pokemon episode that we did before this? It was Gen 4 Pokemon.
I think it was, just Gen 4 Pokemon.
So that was a good one because we both have at least played the Gen 4 games. Yep. We both like them. Hopefully we'll get some Gen 4 Pokemon in this episode. There was lots of good legendaries in that gen. But let's do a recap. What games did you play, Jake?
I've played Leaf Green, Diamond, the one after Diamond that I always mix up with the other one that was before Diamond. What was the one after Diamond and Pearl?
The Gen 5, so like the black and white games?
No, the third one in that series.
Oh, Platinum.
Yeah, Platinum.
Okay.
I always mix it up with, I guess, Emerald.
You're forgiven.
Yeah. I played Platinum, and then just like Pokemon Snap and Stadium. And then, what is it? Pokemon Unity that just came out. Is that what it's called?
Oh, you did play a little bit of that.
It's kind of fun, but not really a Pokemon game.
Right. It's more of like a social game.
It's like Battle Royale basketball with Pokemon.
It's basketball. It's like a sport.
You get energy orb things, and then you have to drop them in the opponent's hoop.
Okay.
And they have I think 6 hoops on each side.
Okay.
And then you could also attack the opponents to slow them down.
That is a bit scary to hear.
I mean, it's free. Just
it's
give
free.
It a go.
No, that's cool. No, that's cool. Usually not what I play Pokemon for, but that's cool. I mean, try all kinds of things. I'm sure people were saying that when they heard that there was going to be a Pokemon photography game, right?
Yeah.
When that game first came out.
I think Snap was a little better than Unity. But I really think it was just Nintendo saw everyone liked the Tetris 99 and Pac-Man 99, so they wanted to do like a Battle Royale type thing with Pokemon. It's fun. It's cool.
Interesting. Any legendaries?
I only played a few days right when it came out, but I would assume so.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Maybe I'll give it a try. There's just so many Pokemon games that are coming out soon.
Yeah. Are you planning on getting the Diamond Pearl remake?
Possibly. Thinking about it. More excited for Arceus.
Arceus?
Yep.
I almost said Arceus.
I think we both had to relearn that name.
Yep.
Now that it's been said so many times in a different way.
Actually. Oof. Yeah.
Uh-oh. I think he's hinting at a placement in top 5.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so, okay, you played those games. That's a good handful. That's a lot of them. It gives you enough background knowledge. You've also watched a bit of the TV show, and maybe some of the movies.
Yeah, so I was going to say I'm most familiar with a lot of these legendaries from the anime movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could bring a cool dynamic to this episode because you're obviously more familiar with the video games, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say. I definitely watched the movies when I was younger.
Okay.
Haven't really been keeping up with them.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the Detective Pikachu, which was kind of...
Right, yeah, I saw it in theaters.
A little bit of a sort of remake of the original movie, which I probably watched 100 times. And then there's the actual remake, which like Mewtwo Returns or Revenge or something like that.
I feel like that was a while ago, yeah.
I think it was like 2017 or something. Watch that one. So yeah, I mean, I guess I've pretty much kept up to date. I think I remember when I was a kid when, what was it? I don't know how you say it, Kyogre. And what's the other one?
Groudon.
Groundon. That's about where I drifted off. Maybe a few seasons after that, I remember like there was the little small grass guy fairy person.
Shaman.
No. Yeah.
Oh, Celebi.
Celebi. Yep.
There we go.
Yep. That was, that kind of era is where I drifted off a little bit.
That's fair. I definitely watched a bit of the TV show. I think after like Gen 4.
Okay.
I want to say of the TV show. I got like a bit too old where I was kind of like, I feel like these characters are talking like as if this was for a children's audience because it kind of was.
Yeah.
And I started, not relating to it as much.
Mm-hmm.
I still think all the Pokemon look cool. Just haven't kept up with the TV show. So I think that gives us enough. To go.
I hope so.
To go pick some good top fives. Well, if you don't mind, I could start with my number 5 pick.
Well, before we start, I just want to say this is Sam's birthday episode.
This is.
And it just so happened to also be a Pokemon episode, which lined up really well. Happy birthday, Sam.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is a terrific coincidence. In fairness, just to prevent any confusion, this isn't necessarily recorded on my birthday and definitely won't be published on my birthday.
That's true.
But it's in honor of my birthday. So just keep that in mind, at least.
All right. Let's get to it.
Without further ado, my number 5 is Kyogre.
Oh, nice. Okay.
As we just discussed. Kyogre, right. So we both played Gen 3. We knew about Kyogre. It was how they have him included in the story was cool because I felt like there was like a bit of lore involved, and it was at the point in the franchise where they were comfortable like being very like outward with it, like very part of the storyline. Mewtwo and Mew in the Gen 1 games, I don't know if you remember very much, they're not super tied to like the ultimate objective, and they kind of feel like something that you discover on your own type of thing.
Okay. I mean, I haven't played any of those games, so I wouldn't know.
Leaf Green and Fire Red.
That's Gen 1?
Yes.
I thought that was like Gen 2.
No, so Leaf Green and Fire Red was the first remake of Gen 1. So, so you're in Kanto, the Gen 1 region. Okay, so you know. Yeah, you're in the know. And
wait, are they in that game? Is Mewtwo in Leaf Green?
Yes.
I played that game so many times. I never
Exactly. And that's because Mewtwo's not super tied to that story. You, like I said, you kind of have to find him on your own. Like if you're young, you probably need like your friend to tell you. Yeah. Or like the strategy guide to tell you.
Do you remember how?
Yeah. It's the second gym leader's town. I think it's Cerulean City where Misty is.
Yeah.
So there's this cave that's pretty much blocked off until you beat the game.
Okay.
You surf over like this, stream of water, and it's open. You go in, you progress through the cave. All the Pokemon are like level 50 to 60. I remember there being like Slowbros, maybe Gravelers. I want to say the Parasects, and then at the very end, there's Mewtwo. I'm thinking it was like level 70 or something.
Wow,
kind of hard to catch.
Yeah,
Mewtwo's a very badass Pokemon.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm sure we'll talk about him later.
Yes, exactly.
I think I just never played post game on it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is Mewtwo was part of the post game, made the post game a thing in Gen 1. But then in Gen 3, it's like, you play Sapphire. The Team Aqua is all trying to get Kyogre. Kyogre is this primal Pokemon from so many, like thousands of years ago, and is like the ruler of the rain, whatever it is, like brings rain to the earth. And I'm trying to remember, you find Kyogre like right before the 8th gym leader, and it feels like the game's built up to Kyogre. The design is pretty cool.
Okay.
It feels like a whale, but like a bit of a mystic whale. This is before they took like that Digimon route where it was like super sci-fi looking Pokemon. I'm thinking like Dialga and Palkia.
Yep.
They're cool.
Yep.
They look like Digimon. They look like, sci-fi aliens.
Yeah, I feel you.
And Kyogre was still like rounded.
Like a beast.
Yeah. And so I like that aesthetically. And then also for the competitive, more boring parts, I don't know if you remember the move Rain Dance. You use it and the rain starts falling. Lasts for 5 turns.
Yeah.
Kind of annoying to use Rain Dance because there's only so many times that it's really like applicable to the Pokemon you have. Especially when you play in-game, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, this makes my water move stronger. The fire move's weaker.
Yeah.
Like, I can just beat, the opponent without using Rain Dance, so why would I waste my turn? And then they have Kyogre that automatically sets the rain, and the rain is permanent.
Yep.
And that completely changed how Pokemon functioned. Now you can have a whole team called a rain team based around using the benefits of rain. So you have the Swift Swim, Kingdras that, double speed. You can have Hydro Pumps on all your Pokemon that have the 1.5 multiplier. You can have like grass type Pokemon that are your walls that aren't going to take heavy damage from fire. And then by like Gen 5, pretty much every other team was a rain team just because it was so easy to use Kyogre and so easy to build a team around the rain. And that's why, so Kyogre was so good, basically ruined Pokemon, a couple years into his introduction. And they ended up fixing it, and as they always do, move things to Ubers, ban certain things. But yeah, I mean, he learns Thunder. That's cool. It's cool for water type to learn Thunder. He hits every time because it's in the rain. And he had the Water Spout move, which like hits like a truck when you're at full HP, doubled in the rain. I mean, it's so many things going for it. Easy top 5.
Yeah, kind of a beast. He was actually very close to being on my list, but just missed the cutoff, I guess. Yeah, I mean, so I guess I had my order of Pokemon a little confused because I did watch after this, but I don't know if maybe it was just the movie didn't seem that appealing to me. Maybe I just didn't watch the movie, or like I was so young at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I did watch it, I don't remember, but definitely like this, I mean, what was Groudon, right? Groudon and Kyogre just didn't really appeal to me that much as a kid in terms of the anime. But what you're talking about in the video games, I mean, I've never heard of like a rain team, so you're bringing new news to me.
You are welcome.
And that makes a lot of sense. And definitely when we're talking about legendaries, I think like you're really thinking in terms of gameplay. And I don't know if like maybe there's just a lot more about Pokemon that I don't know than what I think I don't know.
Okay.
But I think like not every legendary is able to build a team around it in the way that you're describing.
Absolutely. And I like that point because I want to add to that. I feel like maybe people who aren't like super into Pokemon, maybe they played it as a kid. They have this like wrong idea about legendaries. They think that legendaries are made to be like super overpowered. You throw one on your team, you're automatically going to win. If you play against your friend, you got to look them in the eye and say, you better not bring a legendary because I'll have no way of winning.
Exactly.
That is usually not how it works at all. I mean, there's tons of legendary Pokemon where they have like crazy stats. That doesn't mean they're good. They're just hard to get. They're either like, I remember like the Reggies in Gen 3. They were kind of hard to get. You had to have like a Wailord and a Relicanth, and you had to go into like this secret room underwater. And
I do remember all of that.
They weren't, and they weren't good. Like the Reggies aren't good Pokemon. They're really slow. They don't hit very well. Yeah, it's hard to kill them. I mean, if I was playing competitive with someone and they brought 3 Reggies on their team, I'd be like, sweet. What are they gonna do with 3 of these guys? Kyogre is an example of a good one, and so I just want to share that with everyone. They're not all made the same.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's what I was getting at. But now that you mentioned that, though, what were the Gen 3 games? Because I've definitely played that.
Gen 3 is Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald.
Okay, then maybe I have played Emerald as well.
Possibly. That's the...
Because I've definitely I remember all that.
Yeah.
So Wow. Okay. I don't know.
There you go. Maybe.
I must have.
Yeah, Emerald was pretty much the same as Ruby and Sapphire, just a little bit better because Team Aqua and Team Magma they were like competing against each other in it. The story's like a little thicker. You can get Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza's built into the story a little bit better.
Yeah. You know, back in the day, I don't know if you remember this, but like if you had an Android phone, you would be able to like I don't know the exact terminology, but you'll be able to like illegally play some like Game Boy and DS games on your phone. So maybe that's where I played it. Like
there you go.
On like an Android phone. I don't know. I mean, I must have played it at some point. Good days. Dude, imagine if you could play Pokemon on your phone.
I wish, yeah. I mean, I feel like back in the golden days of jailbreaking iPhones.
Yeah.
I feel like that was when it was bigger.
Yeah. I remember like everyone in my summer camp was playing out on their phone.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I missed out on that then.
Yeah. I mean, it was just Androids as far as I remember, though.
Okay. But I don't know if I've ever had an Android, so.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, almost made my list. Respectable choice. I don't know if I could really add a whole lot to it.
Well, that's okay with me. What top 5 do you have, if not Kyogre?
My 5 is Lugia.
Okay.
An absolute defensive tank. Has psychic and flying abilities, 2 of my favorite. I think we spent a good deal of the last Pokemon episode talking about flying types, and I do like my flying types. The master of Kanto's birds, the legendary trio, right? Zapdos, Articuno, Moltres.
That is, that's the legendary birds of Gen 1.
Yeah, as far as the anime is concerned, from my perspective.
Oh, right, because in the second movie, Lugia was declared like
Pokemon 2000.
Yeah, you know what, you were saying that and I was like, I don't know what Jake is talking about now. But I forgot in Pokemon 2000, that's kind of like the plot of the movie is that Lugia is what, like the leader of the 3 or something?
Yeah, essentially, I guess a leader is a good word. I don't know, like he controls them in some way or another.
I guess because he's like a psychic type.
Yeah.
When they were writing the movie, they're like, oh, maybe communicates with them.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, as far like those, like back in the day, before we had all these newer legendaries, like those 3 birds were like so bad at, awesome.
Very cool.
Very cool birds. And then like this guy is just a step above all of them, which makes like this guy the like essentially the greatest Pokemon at the moment. I mean, again, as far as the anime is concerned, like me as a kid watching this, like Lugia was just like the coolest Pokemon pretty much. Very simple in terms of design, especially when we're talking about these newer guys, but literally just as a child, nothing topped Lugia in my mind. I mean, well, maybe another Pokemon that we'll discuss later, starting with an M, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say on these lower guys on my list, but I'll add that he's also speedy, and I like my speed when we're talking about the games.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. Definitely, they were smart to write that into the story because Lugia is the best of those legendary birds.
Yeah.
And the design, it is really cool. Like I was saying, this is like the pre-Digimon days of the legendaries. And for Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal, the Gen 2 games, they couldn't really get super like technical with the design.
Mm-hmm.
They were only able to use like so many colors for the designs too. So, I mean, now Lugia has 3 colors. Back in the day, it was 2.
Yeah.
What was it? It was like a blue and maybe a light blue and then black and white was how it appeared on the Crystal screen. And it was cool because it made it simple. Like you could probably draw a Lugia on your notepad right now. And you know what I mean? And that just makes it memorable. Very cool in that sense. I feel like the the typing, like you were saying, Psychic and Flying was kind of a bold choice.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of that.
Yeah, and it's because I feel like in the Gen 1 games, the idea of Psychic types were like, they were a bit humanoid, right? I'm thinking of like Mr. Mime, Mewtwo. They were like on 2 feet. They were kind of like I said, humanoid, but with these, unseeable powers. It wasn't like fire types, these flamethrower. Their moves were side beam, psychic, things that just kind of happened to the mind. And they were made to be like the strongest type, basically. Mm-hmm. And they nerfed it as time went on. But Lugia, that's kind of an unintuitive typing decision. Flying and psychic, what do we have in our daily life that flies and we consider, psychic, right? If it's not like a fortune teller person, what flies in psychic? And then it's blue and it is in the water in the games. Okay. And I'm not saying this like, oh, this is, too confusing. They should have done differently. It was bold and it made the lore of Lugia very like rich and and deserving of having like a movie based on it. So I'll say that in terms of like the thought behind it. It is very cool. I feel like it was always like an Uber's Pokemon, like, banned from regular play just because its stats were so good. Like it had pretty decent speed, really good defense. Mm-hmm. And then I believe it was like, maybe it was like Gen 6, Gen 5 or Gen 6. They gave it the multi-scale ability where the first damage it takes is cut in half.
It's half, yep.
Right, so it's a pretty rare ability. I know like Dragonite gets it. Maybe Melodic. I'm trying to remember. And it's awesome because when you're such a defensive Pokemon, you're already taking next to no damage. Yeah. So you could switch in on a hard hit, take nothing from it, recover it off. Mm-hmm. And now look, you use recover, you're back to 100 HP. And then boom, it still works.
It'll use it again? Oh,
yeah, it still works. Cool. It's when you're at 100, you take half. Yeah. So honestly, Lugia can be like horrifying to be up against.
Yeah. Yeah, really a defensive tank.
Yeah, and you throw Calm Mind, boost your special defense, boost your special attack. It got it has a signature move. I'm not sure if they don't have it in recent games, but I remember they gave it the Aeroblast attack, which it was just, gave some attack for flying types. Flying types don't always have the best like special attacks.
Right.
So yeah. I approve of that 5th place. Do you have any other comments on it or?
No. I'll be able to talk a little bit more when we get further down the list. Okay, but these earlier picks a little more surface level. Sure. Me.
I gotcha. So I have to be upfront about my 4th pick is that we were about to start recording and I looked at my list and I just told Jake, I was like, Don't press record yet. I literally have to just switch my list right now. I completely forgot about this Pokemon that needs to be on it.
Okay.
I had Mewtwo at number 4. I'll admit it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Does that mean Mewtwo's off the list?
Who's to say? But it was at 4. And I looked at my list and thought, this is what I'll say. I'll say this about Lugia. Lugia. No, sorry, not Lugia. I'll say this about Mewtwo. Mewtwo, love the backstory. He's an OG. Legendary, like that was when people talked about legendaries back in the day. Yeah. They're talking about Mewtwo, right? And he was like a bad guy Pokemon. That was like cool. It was cool to think about back in the day. Have there been better Pokemon since Mewtwo? Possibly. And that will be my brief little thing about him. I'm sure he's going to be on your list. And then we'll.
So since he's not on your list,
who's to say? But but when he's on your list, then I'll discuss more. But I had to replace Mewtwo with Arceus.
Okay. So
Arceus
wasn't even on your list.
I honestly don't know why. Okay. I feel like Arceus. I don't even know if he's been released in Sword and Shield yet.
Possibly. I don't think so.
Possibly not. Yeah, I don't think so either. So that's why he kind of like skipped my mind, I guess.
I think he's definitely not, because we're awaiting to see if there's the mega evolution of Arceus in the Diamond and Pearl remake.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely crazy.
So I think he's definitely not in Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So that's why I wasn't really thinking about him as like a conversational choice. But he is a super important part of like the Pokemon lore.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure canonically Arceus is supposed to be like kind of like the god of
the
Pokemon.
God.
I remember so he's a Gen 4 Pokemon. When Arceus became like a known Pokemon, it was kind of crazy to think about, like, oh, Pokemon has a god now. Like there's like some like spiritual being. It can be any type. You can give it a plate and it could be whatever choice you want, and it learns like any move. I'm pretty sure it could learn all the TMs and the HMs.
Probably.
So it was really like, oh, if you can get your hands on Arceus, you could build your own Pokemon. Yeah. It'll have any stat you need. Like it's 120 base stats across the board, right? 120 in Ubers. 120 is like, that's pretty good. Like, you know, it's expected. It could be higher. But if you have 120 across the board, well, you could really do anything then.
Exactly. Yep.
You could be a wall that hits hard. You could be a sweeper that can take a hit, and you can have any move and any typing. Well, that's just building your own Pokemon, and it's pretty cool. And maybe that's why I wasn't really thinking about Arceus, because it's like, 120, that's not really as much anymore. But back in the day, you had extreme speed and Swords Dance. What you do, you just throw out your Arceus. I mean, if they were down 2 Pokemon, maybe they lost their Ghost type. You throw out your Arceus, you throw a Swords Dance down, maybe do 2 Swords Dances, you're at +4 attack, and you just click extreme speed until you run out of your 8 extreme speeds. That's how it was. You get the priority attack, it got the same type attack boost.
Yep.
And even though it was a normal type, that's what was cool about it. It was a legendary normal type that you were just, it was kind of like easy mode, you know, back in like Gen 4 when it was new, and even maybe a little of Gen 5. And just really cool. And the design is pretty cool too. It's kind of like an ambiguous shape, I want to say. Like it has that weird like tail on its head.
Yeah.
And it's got like the kind of like a thorn. Well, it's almost like biblical. It's got like this like crown of thorns around its stomach, and it looks yeah. So that's what I have to say about it. I mean, I think it was a really cool Pokemon, great idea.
Yeah. Arceus is on my list. But you pretty much took most of my notes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a very versatile Pokemon, having those like 120 I guess it was a 720 base stat, 120 on each stat. Just makes it essentially the most versatile legendary. Definitely has to be on the top 5 list. And like I said, if we do get this mega evolution, which didn't exist when Diamond and Pearl came out, if we get it in the remake, it will probably be like hands down, no question, the most powerful legendary like ever in Pokemon, which makes sense. If it's the god of Pokemon, it should be. Especially
if we have Legends of Arceus coming out. I mean, that
just lines up perfect. I didn't even think about it like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I would think that'd be really cool if they, bring back the Megas and they go for Mega Arceus, because I won't say too much about this, but when they gave Rayquaza the Mega evolution in Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby, yes, that is it, in the remakes for Gen 3, they succeeded. They were like, we're gonna do Mega Rayquaza, and you're gonna know it's a Mega Rayquaza.
Right.
So if they're doing Mega Arceus,
what
direction are they gonna take that? It already can learn every move, and it can be any type. So I'll be excited for it. Okay, so I have like a few other thoughts that I would share on it.
So
I think I'm gonna save them. Yeah, because it sounds like he's on your list. We can keep the conversation going.
They don't have a gender.
They don't have a gender. Right.
Pokemon.
They are a genderless Pokemon. I've been honestly out of the Pokemon game a bit. I've been playing competitive in a while. And I forgot that is canonically the truth to a lot of these Pokemon, is that most of them, okay, most of the legendaries don't have a gender. That's just how it works. You can't breed with them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any actually even do. Some are only male, some are female. That's a good point. Arceus is specifically genderless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
We'll keep it going.
Okay, speaking of Rayquaza, my number 4 is Rayquaza. Maybe a little low on the... Are you giving me like a... Are you upset that it's so low?
No, I get it. I mean, just there's regular Rayquaza, number 4, totally.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to really consider... Guess like we just said, the Mega Evolution didn't exist for all of these, so I didn't really want to consider like all these boosted legendaries. I tried to make a list. Well, actually, I mean, honestly, it's mostly on the anime. But as far as the video games, I tried to base it on just the base stats and all that, just to be fair.
Sure.
So speaking of which, one of the highest base stat Pokemon is Rayquaza. Only Pokemon that doesn't need an item to Mega Evolve as well, which was, I mean, just pretty crazy because that leaves the item. I mean, I know I just said I wasn't going to talk about Mega Evolves, but yeah, that leaves the item open for whatever you want him to hold. And you can Mega Evolve anyway. Has one of the highest base attacks of 150, which is like insanely high. Is just like Lugia is the boss of the birds. Rayquaza is the boss of Groudon and Kyogre. And a flying dragon. Once again, love my flying Pokemon. We talked about in the last Pokemon episode how most dragons are flying types in the Pokemon universe, and I appreciate that. I like my flying dragons.
Really?
You didn't. I remember we had this conversation.
Okay, yeah. That sounds like something I'd say.
Yeah. You preferred other dragon typings, but I mean, if you...
Yes.
I don't remember exactly what you said, but if you want to hear that conversation, listen to that episode.
That's a shame I don't get to complain anymore.
You can if you want.
All right.
I mean, Rayquaza is just a really awesome looking Pokemon too. It's kind of like I mean, it is a dragon, but it's like a flying, like snaky type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost looks like metallic, like has like some sort of shell on it, maybe. Just looks very cool. Looks very powerful, intimidating. You don't want to go up against one of those. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot else to say, but we've talked about how I go for more of the offensive Pokemon than defense. So Rayquaza kind of just fits perfectly into my niche of what I look for in Pokemon.
Well, of course, I think that's a great pick. First, I will say, funny that you love your dragon flying types.
Why is that funny?
I feel like Rayquaza, for me personally, by the time you run into Rayquaza, players might feel a little bit fatigued by the dragon flying trope.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you said last time.
Right, like Dragonite. Well, this time we're talking about Rayquaza. And Dragonite, was super cool. Flying dragon, like that is conceptually relatable in, Gen 1 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Altaria that we meet in Gen 3. And then we meet Salamence, the pseudo-legendary, in Gen 3.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, we are very well acquainted to this trope.
Right.
And then we get Rayquaza on top of that. It's like, it kind of seems like maybe there's a bit of a hierarchy in this typing. And up until Gen 3, it kind of feels like Rayquaza was almost maybe too good. A bit of invalidation to the other dragons of that generation. Now, it's obviously not Rayquaza's fault. That means Rayquaza's better than all of them. More of Game Freak's decision making. And I think that they ended up fixing that when they did the Megas, because Altaria became the Dragon Fairy type in Mega Evolution. And then Salamence became an absolute beast in its Mega Evolution. I won't say too much about Rayquaza because I have Rayquaza somewhere on my list. And so I agree with you. I think that it is cool that he is like the leader, or Rayquaza is the leader of Groudon and Kyogre. Its ability Airlock was
right, yeah.
in competitive play in Ubers, like that's kind of crazy because I was saying there were rain teams. I mean, plenty of people just built their teams around having Swift swimmers and then having Kyogre, and for you to be able to knock out the Kyogre and then just kill the rain, I mean, that's kind of game over for you know, a lot of situations.
Forgot to mention that, but I mean, for those who aren't aware, that essentially will negate any what do you call it, like weather effects, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. So that was like very key. You know, I mean, I feel like when you have Rayquaza in game and you see, oh, it has Airlock ability. What does Airlock do? Like this is crazy. I mean, what crazy ability will it have? And it's like, oh, it'll actually just turn things off.
Yeah.
As, you know, a kid playing the game, it's a little bit disappointing. It's like, when is my opponent ever going to use like Rain Dance? And if they do, who cares? Honestly, like I'll just keep playing, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
In competitive, it is pretty helpful, you know. So I said, you know, those are my passive comments.
Okay.
I have a lot more comments that I may want to say a little bit later.
Awesome.
And that leaves me on my number 3 now.
Numero Trace.
For Numero Trace, I picked, I don't even know if I'm going to pronounce this Pokemon's name correct. But it is the legendary of Gen 8 Pokemon Sword, Zacian.
Yeah, same here.
Zacian?
Number 3.
I want to say it's Zacian. I picked Sword over Shield because of Zacian. I'm trying to remember if they announced the stats for these Pokemon before the games were publicly released. Either way, Zacian is the better Pokemon to the Shield one.
Okay.
Is how I see it. And I think that's a pretty cold take, honestly. Zacian is the offensive choice of the Gen 8 legendaries to choose from. And how it works is you give it the rusted sword item and it changes to its crown form. And then in its crown form, this thing is it's like a 13-year-old was given the choice to pick a Pokemon that was very good.
Yeah.
And it was like, I will make it unbelievably strong with completely unrealistic attack. And I'll make it extremely fast. And I don't really like it when people kill me. So I'll make its defense really, really good. And then Game Freak was like, well, you won this contest to pick a Pokemon. So there you have it. That's what we'll have. Oh, by the way, what typing do you want? Oh, I don't know. Steel, because that's cool.
There you go, yep.
And Fairy, because that's a new one. And it was like, wow, you picked really great choices because now no one can beat this Pokemon.
Exactly.
So I've been not much of a Gen 8 competitive player. I watched a fair bit of Gen 8 competitive just on YouTube, followed a couple of my like favorite Pokemon battlers. Okay. So I haven't truthfully used this Pokemon in competitive play. I obviously had Sword. I used it in game. It was crazy. So when studying for this episode, I realized that that the Zacian, I don't know if it's just Zacian Crowned or all Zacian, is in the Anything Goes tier.
Okay.
You may be unfamiliar with Anything Goes, or maybe our listeners might be unfamiliar.
I know it's some competitive term.
Well, in case our listeners don't know, traditionally how Pokemon tiers worked is that there was OU, that is like the standard competitive tier. It means overused. You know, and that's not a derogatory term. That just means like that is the best Pokemon.
It's the ideal Pokemon.
The ideal Pokemon that you're allowed to use.
Yep. And
then if a Pokemon was considered too good for OU, they put it in Ubers.
Right. Okay.
And so you could use legendaries in OU, and unless they're banned. And if they're banned, that's fine. You could still use them. Just use them in Ubers. Ubers is generally less of a competitive scene. It's a little bit more for fun, but it's still a valid, you know, competitive scene. And you would get, you know, your Kyogres and your rain teams or whatever. Well, Zacian is in anything goes, which means it is banned from the banned category.
Right. Okay.
It is literally too good to even be used just for fun. It would ruin the for fun category. And it's not because of any like weird loophole where it has the perfect move set that functions perfectly with its typing and its ability.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's literally just so strong that you can use Swords Dance and its signature move, Behemoth Blade, and literally just hit anything and win.
Yeah. I mean, I also have this as my number 3, so I'll just say what I have as well. But
okay, yeah,
it starts with that 170 attack. So like you're 100% right. If you, with the base set, I mean, if you use Sword Dance, you could take out like anyone with that. And then not to mention when you give it the rusted sword, it turns it into the steel type, which also has like a crazy amount of resistances.
Yeah.
So you already have this like OP offensive Pokemon, and now it's also resistant to like more than half, I think, of typings.
Yeah, I mean, Fairy and Steel is an insane defensive typing, and it's also a really good offensive typing because there's no ability or typing that is immune to the Steel type, right? Like, even if it's not a perfect offensive typing, you can hit anything with a Behemoth Blade, and it will always do damage. And and I also forgot about its crazy ability, Intrepid Sword, which means on switch in, the Pokemon's attack is raised by 1 stage. So not only do you have this crazy 170 base attack, you're also getting a boost to it when you switch in. Now let's say you go in for the revenge kill. You had a Pokemon die. It's like, oh, I'm gonna throw in my Zacian. They have to switch out. You use a Sword Stance. You're at +3 attack right now. Everything is dying. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could throw in your Steel type defensive wall. Can it take 2 hits from a +3 Behemoth Blade? Probably, but probably not 3,
Yeah.
So, insane choice.
Yeah, it is. And it's only, I think, so low on this list for me because, as you know, I didn't really enjoy Sword that much, so I don't really have much intimate connection with this Pokemon. But I mean, as we have discussed, it probably like is objectively one of the best Pokemon. I mean, not even probably, it is.
I mean, I think on paper, this is the best Pokemon that's made.
Yep.
Just in terms of like, can it kill the most Pokemon compared to any other Pokemon?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's how it works. It is.
Yeah, essentially.
And I guess the reason why I haven't had it much higher is for similar reasons. Like, I haven't really. There's some legendaries where it's like, oh, I've used them so much. I'd had such a great time using them. Or maybe like Kyogre, like I have like a lot of experiences like in the game or maybe watching a movie. So if someone were like, no, this should be the number 1 pick, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. I get that choice. But 3 is like a safe. I mean, all these guys are so good.
Right.
I'll leave it there. So does that count as you saying you're 3 too? Because we kind of just joined in together and we were like, yeah, 3. That was amazing.
Yeah, it is my number 3.
Okay.
No doubt. We're about 45 minutes in, so you want to get to that break?
Let's have a break.
Awesome.
All right, we'll be right back.
Welcome to our new podcast. Welcome to our new podcast.
This isn't working.
Agreed. I think we're going to have to do it turn by turn.
Well, now that you mention it, we are a brand new RPG video game podcast.
Our very existence hinges on turn-based gaming.
So join us on the Turn by Turn podcast, where we'll be talking about
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Shining Force, Mother, and so many more.
It's your turn to come and join us.
Hi there, I'm David.
And I'm Kate.
And we're the hosts of another Zelda podcast.
There are so many good podcasts out there, and some of them in particular concern the Legend of Zelda.
That's right, Kate, and we are another one of them. That is actually the name of our show, Another Zelda Podcast.
And in our show in particular, we talk about some of our favorite dungeons, characters, boss battles. We have top 10 lists.
Yeah, we do deep dives on game design and production aspects of the different Zelda games.
And we talk about our own experiences. We do some review episodes, talk about our challenges, our struggles, and our victories.
That's right. Really just almost anything that has to do with Zelda, we like to talk about it. A new episode comes out every other Friday, and you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube.
And you can also check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
That's right. All right, we will see you there.
Okay, bye.
And we're back. All right, so typically, I say my 3 and then we go on break and then you say your 3, but we were just having such a great time agreeing on a number 3 pick that I believe now I will say my number 2.
Yep.
Sounds about right? All right. So for number 2, I had Zygarde Complete. Specifically, its complete form. Now, how you use this Pokemon is you have just the Zygarde. Are you familiar with this Pokemon?
No.
Okay. It was Gen 6. So, it was like the X Pokemon, Xerneas, and then the Y, Yveltal. And then there was that Z-shaped Pokemon. That was Zygarde. And Zygarde by itself was a bit of an underwhelming Pokemon. I mean, Xerneas was crazy. It had Geomancy. It, skyrocketed its stats when it used that move, and then it could sweep, and then Yveltal had some cool moves to use on its own, cool toolbox. And then Zygarde was kind of slow, not super strong, until they gave it the Power Construct ability. And how that works is once your Zygarde got to half HP, then it turned into this Super Saiyan Pokemon called Zygarde Complete. And how it worked is that its stats pretty much stayed the same. It got a little bit slower, but its HP changed from a 108 base power to a 216 base power. So it doubled.
Okay, so would that essentially be giving it max HP again? Because you said when it runs to half HP, this is when that happens. So would it be gaining that HP back?
So the short answer is no.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes and no, I will say. So there's this weird formula with how hit points works.
Okay.
Where I don't know the formula because I think it's kind of complicated.
Okay.
On how hit points works with defense.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, if your HP was to double in base stat, instead of it being a ×2, it would work more on an exponential level.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're probably thinking, well, that seems a little bit too high in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was broken. It was way overpowered. And Zygarde was such a lackluster Pokemon that it was fine in the OU category. Okay. So when Zygarde Complete got introduced, kind of just for fun, it wasn't immediately banned. It wasn't right off the start. People, specifically Smogon, which is the competitive scene, whatever, allowed it to be used in OU. And for a week, you felt like you were Goku playing this guy. He couldn't be killed. I mean, just with the HP and the defense, once you got to complete mode, you could take on any single Pokemon, even if it was an Ice Beam that had 4 times attack on you. You were good. You had the Dragon and Ground typing. So Dragon's a pretty strong typing. And then it had the 1,000 Arrows signature move, which is a ground move that hit flying types. It hit levitators. So
pretty OP.
So it was just, there really wasn't a way to beat it. What I did, which was horrible, is I had a stall team. So I had a team of Pokemon that just, their job was, they were a wall. They threw up the stealth rocks. They used Toxic on you. Use Protect. Use Recover. And then my last Pokemon was Zygarde Complete.
Okay.
People hated me, and for good reason. And I didn't lose a game.
Okay.
Not saying that makes me good. I was just if this Pokemon, if I'm allowed to use it, I'm not going to lose.
Yeah.
And that's just how it worked. I mean, if you had Zygarde Complete, you weren't going to lose. Everyone named their Zygarde Complete Goku just because that's what it was.
Yeah.
You're like the superhero of the game, and it had this crazy design where like the scale made it look like super big, and then it had like it kind of looked like wings or like giant hair. I mean, you got like something in your spirit time.
Yep.
And it became like a lizard looking Pokemon to like this humanoid, like stacked, like mecha, Gundam looking thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was very fun to use. Great memories. Enough to make it number 2.
Yeah. I mean, I have 0 memories of this because XYZ, Black, White, DX, whatever. I didn't play any of those.
The fact that you included Z as a game.
It's not even a game.
It's not a game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really can't say anything on this, but it does sound like a cool Pokemon.
Sounds like a cool idea, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. But I mean, by today's standards, it's not in anything goes. So like
right.
There's things better than it now, like, which is crazy to think about, that like you can have a Pokemon that has stats that make it so you basically can't kill it, especially once it gets a stat boost.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still things better than it. That's what I don't say what my number 1 is, but that's why it's at 2,
Okay.
All right, so what do you got?
Arceus is my number 2. We already said a lot. This is a god Pokemon. It really has to be on the top of the list for me. We said 720 base stat, 120 in each. It's such a well-rounded Pokemon. I guess the only thing we didn't mention that I had was it has like the judgment move that matches its typing. So we mentioned that depending on what type of plate it's holding, that dictates what typing it is, which already is pretty OP. But then you have this judgment move that's one of your 4 that will just match your typing no matter what you are. So.
Yeah, and so that's great that you brought that up, because that is a huge part of what Arceus was. Part of the build your own Pokemon thing is that you can basically make your own move. It's like a 100 base power, 100 accuracy move when you could pick the typing, and then the plate gives that typing attack a boost as well. So what I really liked about Arceus back in like Gen 4 is back then they didn't have like a special attacking rock type. Even though you could use like Power Gem, which was like a weak special rock attack, there wasn't a Pokemon where it was viable to do that. And then you just do Arceus Rock, you use Judgment, and all of a sudden you've created this like whole new type of Pokemon, like a special attacking rock. Same with Ground. Like, yeah, you could use Earth Power, but there weren't a lot of ground types that had like a high special attack. Mm-hmm. Arceus Ground could do that. And I mean, I could go on. I could say that about Arceus Steel.
Right.
But yeah, so very cool.
Yeah, a pretty OP Pokemon. And then especially, like I said, if we get the Mega Evolution, it'll just be the best Pokemon ever made.
It will. Yeah, I'm almost mad at you for bringing that up, because now my expectations are like unrealistically high, and they may be not met, and then I'd just be
crushed.
And then I'd be resentful towards you, and that just doesn't seem like a good time.
Why is this on me? Why not Nintendo?
Yeah, I mean, no, that's fair. But you gave me the idea, so see where we are now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I only saw this idea during doing my research.
I mean, I really want that hypothetical Arceus Mega to be in Legend of Arceus as well.
Yeah,
I feel like
I mean, if they have it in Diamond and Pearl, I would assume they would take it into Arceus
in a perfect world, right?
But yeah, I guess you can't really assume things with Nintendo.
You can't. Yeah, you can't. And that leaves me with my number 1 choice.
Okay, I'm excited.
Okay, so
Me too.
I cringed a little bit myself when you're like, oh, of course I'm not going to include a Mega in this Legendaries. Not that you were wrong to say that, but
okay.
In my mind, I was like, how can you talk about the best Legendaries and not include Mega Rayquaza?
Okay.
So I was saying a little bit about the Anything Goes tier.
Yeah.
Anything Goes was made because Mega Rayquaza was literally too good.
Yep.
Right. It was because of one Pokemon. It wasn't like, oh, there are officially 10 Pokemon that are too good for Ubers.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was because Rayquaza was insane. And like you said, it didn't need to hold that the mega
evolve item, whatever.
Mega evolve item, whatever would have been. And that meant you could just hold a life orb. I mean, you didn't even really need an item to be good. Like, but well,
you can.
yeah. I mean, if I can, then there I go. I'll use a life orb, and then it had its signature move. It had Dragon Ascent. That I mean, it was basically like Brave Bird, but you don't lose your HP, so you can just spam this Dragon Ascent.
Yep.
And on top of that, you get the extreme speed, as Rayquaza always does, and then you also get V-Create. I don't know if you know about V-Create.
No, I don't know what that is.
It's a super strong fire type move. It has 180 base power, and it was originally Victini's signature move.
Okay.
All generic Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But they just gave it to Rayquaza just for fun. So between Dragon Ascent, extreme speed, and V-Create, you're pretty much hitting every Pokemon. I'm not sure if there's any. There might be one that's like immune to all of that. But it's crazy. And then you have Delta Stream. I feel like what did Delta Stream do? I want to say that Mega Rayquaza reduced the weakness of ice and rock, all the types that were strong against flying, and so it had kind of a built-in stronger defense, and it has 180 attack base power, 180 special attack base power. Like, it was just made to be unrealistically unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool. It's just a good Pokemon. So here we are.
Yeah. You're right, and I just don't think it's fair to be talking about the Mega Evolutions, but
that is the beautiful thing about Mega Rayquaza, is that it's so good it's not even fair to talk about.
Yeah, well, that's why I did a little bit, but I mean, I try not to, because it's not fair, and like I said, some of these legends don't have that, so to judge it on that, I don't know. But I see the argument that you're making as well. It's just as not fair to not mention it.
Right, and here's what I'll say: if all the Mega Evolution legendaries were just like absolutely broken, then I would maybe consider like, oh yeah, like let's leave those out because they're just made to be too good.
Yeah.
Mega Kyogre, Mega Groudon, Mega Latias,
Okay.
they're not necessarily destroying the competitive scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're considered pretty good, right? Mega Rayquaza is the guy, is the Pokemon, and that's why I had to include it, because like this one's a special one.
Okay, fair enough.
Cool.
Is that all you had?
That's all I have.
So
I like the design too. It's got like a little like scissor on the front of its face type of thing.
Yeah. Cool design. I'm upset you don't have Mewtwo.
Like I said,
before I speak, what is the meaning of this?
What is the meaning of not having Mewtwo? I could have had Mewtwo. I could have had Mewtwo at like number 4, maybe switched out with Kyogre. Mewtwo's really good. I just feel like Mewtwo was made in Gen 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
There has been a bit of a power creep.
Okay.
It's pretty obvious. I mean, they kind of have to push the envelope with every game. And I think just a product of that, there are Pokemon that are just made to have maybe better defensive typing, a better move pool, maybe a better niche in the metagame. They tried having Mewtwo keep up with it because people love Mewtwo so much, and they gave Mewtwo like the Y Mega Evolution, the X Mega Evolution. Yeah. I mean, like Mega Mewtwo Y, whatever how it's said, is really, really good. I just feel like at this point, yeah, maybe it could have been number 5, but there are Pokemon that have do more things than Mewtwo.
Okay, well, with that,
I want the listeners to know that Jake is officially crying right now that I said all that.
680 base stat. So
yeah.
680 with the Mega Evolution that you love so much. 780.
I know.
That's pretty much one of the highest, if not the highest.
I feel like Mega
it's
Y.
not, okay, no, it's not the highest.
Not the highest like total base stat, but I admit I did forget this, is that the Mega Y evolution has a 194 special attack,
Yeah.
which is, that's
I
like a
was just gonna
joke.
say it's actually tied with Rayquaza for the strongest Pokemon. I think. Actually, I didn't write in my notes. I don't know if that's before Mega Evolution or not. I think that might be before Mega Evolution because like I said, I wasn't talking about Mega Evolutions, but I could be wrong. But it is one of the strongest Pokemon. It's mainly number one for me, I guess, because of the animes we mentioned right before we started recording. I think I listed like 3 different movies that Mewtwo's in. The Pokemon, the first movie, the remake that I didn't remember the name of, but like Mewtwo Returns or whatever. That was pretty much a remake of the first movie. Detective Pikachu, and I'm pretty sure he was in a couple other movies, not focused on him, but I'm pretty sure he was in those other earlier ones. I don't really remember, but I mean, I watched the first movie countless times. I had the VHS. Like when I was watching the remake, like it all came back to me. Like I was remembering like every scene, and I guess it just shows like how connected I am to that movie and why Mewtwo like resonates with me so much. I also think like as we said, like as one of the first legendaries, being so powerful, like as a kid, he was just the legendary, like the strongest Pokemon before they made all these other ones. Like, you know, he's just resonated with me as like no one's better than Mewtwo. And especially like in the movie, they're talking about how he's like a synthetic Pokemon, I guess, like man-made, like lab-made Pokemon. So the like that aspect of him allows him to be the strongest Pokemon because like he was literally made to be like to be the strongest. So and then there's also the aspect of like a lot of Pokemon are just like animals, but like meanwhile like Mewtwo is like kind of sentient and like understands what's going on and like has
and sounds educated.
Exactly. Yep. So that's another way that Mewtwo just resonates with me, I guess, is it's obviously more relatable than like a Pikachu. The only legendary in Smash Bros. You cannot overlook that.
Sure.
And not only that, I think he S tier or at least A tier. He's up there. He's one of the best.
I feel like he's not S tier, but he's pretty good.
Okay. Well, he's up there. One of the best Smash. I don't mean to talk about Smash in the Pokemon episode.
Do it.
You can't overlook it. I think that might actually be all my notes, but yeah, a really powerful Pokemon, really awesome movies. Even today, like the Detective Pikachu was an awesome movie to watch. I mean, not even just for the nostalgia, it was a good movie, I think. And some of these Pokemon movies, like I said, like I probably watched like the Groundon Kyogre movie, but like I don't even remember the name of it. I don't remember anything about it really. These movies, like I'm never gonna forget. Like, so I guess from my Pokemon background, Mewtwo just had to be the top of the list for me.
Yeah, that first Pokemon movie is pretty legendary. I wasn't sure if I was gonna make the noise or if you were.
I did it in.
Yeah, thank you. And you're right. I think the lore of like he is the clone Pokemon, and he's like the Mew, is really cool. Having the game, especially because like in Gen 1, Mew was like an unobtainable Pokemon pretty much.
Yeah,
it was a mystery gift. I think you had to like, I forget what odd thing you had to do to obtain Mew, but it wasn't just regular gameplay to get it.
Yeah.
But Mewtwo was. So on top of that, it was like, oh, Mew 2, spelled out 2. There's a sequel to this, the first Mew. Where's the original Mew? Like that little mystery thrown into the game made him even cooler, kind of. And he was, like I said, he was the evil Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Made him very likable, and his, the portrayal of Mewtwo in the movie felt like almost how do I want to say this? Kind of like you sympathize for Mewtwo because he was like a product of Team Rocket. He broke free. Lots of like very just cool aspects about it, and like you said, more relatable than maybe like Kyogre or Groudon.
Yeah,
that just feels like a part of the planet. Mewtwo is sentient.
As I didn't mention, and I don't know if this is actually the video game, like if in the games this is a thing, an ability, but like in the movie he controls the weather. He like has his own like I don't know, like sort of mansion that he makes like in the middle of the ocean. I don't know if you remember. But like he's not just a Pokemon, like he builds his own mansion. I mean, he probably didn't build it, but that's beyond the point. No other Pokemon has their own like crazy mansion. And controls, I don't know. Do you know, does he have some ability that controls the weather in the games, or is that
Mewtwo?
just in the movie?
Not like
Nothing
particularly fancy. Mewtwo might learn like Sunny Day and Rain Dance, but not, I don't know, that's not like a thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm basing this pick mostly on the anime.
That's valid.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the stats right now for the Mega Mewtwo's, and you're kind of right. Like they're pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I feel a little bit bad not having at least like Mega Y on my list.
What the heck, Sam?
But what is done is done.
I'll let it slide because it's your birthday episode.
That's very gracious of you. All right, now we're going to do the impossible and try to organize this into an official top 5 list.
Yes.
I'm thinking that okay, so Zacian, we both had Zacian for number 3.
It's gotta be somewhere in the middle there. Yep.
So that's a pretty good place to leave Zacian at right now. We ironically both kind of admitted that it could be higher, but that's okay. Arceus, I had at 4. You had Arceus at 2. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm kind of right about 4. You think you're kind of right about 2.
Yeah, I mean, he is the god of Pokemon. He is like the most versatile Pokemon. I feel like that this can't be overlooked.
Okay, so what I'll say is that those are some correct points, but then you would also have to admit that Mega Rayquaza, if we're allowing Megas,
well, yeah, that's the flip side,
is number 1 in that case.
Whoa, no, I guess if you're considering Megas, then Mega Mewtwo would still be more powerful than Rayquaza. Or
so how about
equally powerful, maybe?
Possibly. How about this? Mewtwo maybe could be a number 1, but that would have to leave Mega Rayquaza at least a number 2. And then at that point, Arceus is at 4.
And then what would 5 be?
Well, I had Kyogre. It seemed like maybe you weren't completely sold on Kyogre, though.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about Lugia?
Lugia's a great pick.
Well, Lugia's what I had at 5.
Will that make you happy?
Well, it's not about what makes me happy.
I'm going to guilt you into allowing Kyogre. All right, so I'm just sitting here making you happy on my birthday, huh?
All right. If you prefer Kyogre, we can make it Kyogre.
Well, then, if you insist, I will allow it.
Okay, there we have it.
Okay, so from 5 to 1, we have Kyogre at number 5.
Awesome.
Arceus at number 4.
Okay,
Zacian at number 3. Mega Rayquaza number 2. And that leaves Mewtwo at number 1.
Solid list.
All right. I'd say that's a pretty decent list.
Nice.
Now, Jake, would you mind taking us out?
Sure. Top 5 Nintendo on Twitter. Tweet at us. Follow us. It's the number 5, not spelled out. If you want to shoot us an email, talk about anything, give us some suggestions, what you want to hear next time. Just top5nintendopod@gmail.com. Number 5. Oh, wait. Okay. We're actually on Instagram and Facebook now, so I should start plugging those as well. I think those are also going to just be top 5 Nintendo with the number 5. Sam, what is your handle?
That would be Sam__Ansa, ANSA.
Nice. Mine is just Jake Naroden. I would say just Instagram. I don't really use much social media, but I feel like, oh yeah, okay. We've never asked this, but I mean, if you've been enjoying these episodes so far, I think we're a little more than halfway through the season now. It would mean a lot if you told your friends about us, gave us a review on iTunes, favorite us on Spotify or whatever you're using, subscribe or whatever. It would mean a lot, and we would really appreciate that. And that's about all we have for Sam's birthday episode.
Great. Woohoo. Well, thank you for listening, and until next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye.